Thank you, Dean Golden. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Sanjay Asthana. I'm the Wisconsin ADRC Director and also Associate Dean for Gerontology at the medical school. It's a true pleasure to invite you, to welcome you, and I hope that you all enjoy this wonderful day and learn new things about Alzheimer's and perhaps have some collaborations that might be launched right here at this meeting. So my mission here today is to, is to give you a very brief synopsis of the ADRC, because some of you may not quite be aware of the resources and the other number of studies that are ongoing that could be of interest to you. So we here in Madison are one of the 32 NIH-funded Alzheimer's centers in the country. Our center is unique in many ways. First, it was among the first centers in the country that focused on preclinical stages of Alzheimer's disease and specifically the biomarkers of that disease. This is the only geriatrics-based Alzheimer's center in the country, and the major strength of that is that in addition to all the biomolecular and clinical and translational research that we do, we have a very special focus on patient-based research and also community-based and dissemination research. And I think these two are important components that make this ADRC very unique. And also we have substantial data collected on over 2,200 middle-aged adults who have a parental history, at least one of their parents had Alzheimer's disease. And these data are being shared locally, nationally, and multiple centers internationally. So the data that is generated here at this center is really contributing to major breakthroughs that are taking across the country and beyond. And the other 31 NIH centers do the same as well. The ADRC involves 33 principal investigators across the UW campus. Many of these are based in the School of Medicine and Public Health, but a good number of them are based across departments at this wonderful university. And at any one time, we have at least 50 ongoing active studies going on. These are not just patient-based studies, but many lab-based innovative studies that are ongoing in the center. The data that I mentioned to you is patient-based, and it involves about 9 to 15 years of annual or biannual follow-up visits. So on each patient, we have a number of prospectively collected visit data. And together, these data are very unique and are really helping us learn new things about the Alzheimer's disease, its causes, potential treatments, how it presents in patients in different ways, and how it can eventually be used to help treat the patients, the caregivers, and find a cure one day. Education and training is a huge focus of our center. We're trying to train the next generation of scientists locally and nationally and beyond. And at any one time, in fact, we have between 10 to 12 trainees at the center at any one time that are supported through all kinds of training grants, including NIH T32 grant. In the recent few months, we have launched an iPS cell-based program, and we actually are creating cell lines from very distinct group of patients. And on these patients, we have years of data. So these cell lines will be deposited at ViCell here on campus, and that'll ViCell will help it distribute throughout the world. And it'll also be deposited in an NIH-funded center at Indiana University. So these cell lines will be utilized widely across the world. In the current year of funding, we have already published 77 papers, and since our inception, more than 700 papers have been published by the ADRC, and very important because brain autopsy is the ultimate diagnosis for Alzheimer's, at least for the time being. About 65% of our participants in the ADRC have provided consent for autopsy. Now, keep in mind, these are middle-aged adults, and I think that's a great accomplishment. And also, a number of imaging scans have been done. More than 80% of our participants are doing at least one or more research study. So they're not just enrolling into the center, but actually participating in a number of research studies, many of them in more than 3 studies at a time. We also, Dr. Nate Chin is here, and you'll have a chance to talk to him. He just recently launched a podcast, which I believe has been listened to by thousands of people across the country, actually. So it's very popular. Here's the participation number in biomarker studies. I should point out that the blue bar represents participants from underrepresented groups. And currently we have about 23% of our ADRC total patient pool. 23% are from URG groups. In Wisconsin, about only 6 to 8% of the population is from URG, while in ADRC it's about 23%. So you can see how much interest participants from those groups have in contributing to Alzheimer's research. Here's the funding. We are very, very fortunate. Just in the last 3 years alone, the ADRC has more than double or triple its funding. These are funding numbers each fiscal year. So between 2014 and 17, the ADRC alone, which is the orange line, brought in about $38 million of grants. And in addition to Alzheimer's, in geriatrics, we have other areas of research, especially in biology of aging. And total, we have over $73 million of grants in geriatrics, including Alzheimer's grants at this point. And I think that is really a testament to the quality of research and what you can do at UW-Madison. So thanks to Dean Golden and Dean Moss and Dr. Page, who have been supporting our center for many years. Just as a small example of some of the recently funded grants, Dr. Amy Kind, who's an MD PhD, is looking at how neighborhood disadvantage, living in a poor area versus a rich area across the country, can affect the risk for Alzheimer's disease. This is a very unique R01 that she got funded on the first submission. Dr. Puglielli is looking into a new machinery he has discovered in endoplasmic reticulum, which is involved in the generation of toxic beta amyloid. And we have Dr. Dorothy Edwards right here, who's leading the precision medicine site here at UW. And I believe she's planning to recruit 7,000 participants in the next 9 months. Right, Dorothy, am I right? So anyone of have interest, please contact Dr. Edwards. Dr. Subhajit Roy is a leader in iPS cell and also CRISPR and Cas9 technology. So he's got a award looking at the axonal transport and how it contributes to Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Anja Gilmore-Bykowski is looking at natural language processing and electronic medical records. How just looking at an electronic medical record of a person through natural language processing, which is machine learning technique, you can actually pick up if that patient has MCI or Alzheimer's. I mean, these are amazing areas of research. And finally, Dr. Christian is leading the imaging study in Down syndrome patients. We have funding in microbiome from UW-Madison, and also Dr. Roy has another funding using gene editing techniques and how that may affect Alzheimer's research. We have 2 active clinical trials going on. Dr. Carlson has a VA-funded fish oil treatment study, which has caused a lot of interest across the country. And Dr. Okonkwo has exercise intervention trial. So this is just to give you a feel of the range and the scope of research that ongoes in the ADRC. And finally, Dr. Gleason just received a very large NIH grant looking at preclinical biomarkers of Alzheimer's in African American population. And she plans to recruit 500 African Americans. That will be the first time ever such a study has been done in Alzheimer's disease involving such a large sample size of African Americans. So we expect wonderful discoveries from that project. And finally, for next year of our current funding, ADRC will be submitted for competitive renewal in June of this year. We have created a very new innovative core in the Alzheimer's Center, which is care research. As I mentioned early on, being a geriatric-focused Alzheimer's Center, we really want to enhance patient care research. And you may be surprised to hear that most of the other centers are not quite focused in that part of in that area of research. So I think that'll be a very innovative thing. And in addition, we actually are going to enhance the training of a young generation of scientists. So we are very excited. We are hoping for some unique discoveries that will come out of UW-Madison in various aspects of Alzheimer's, and together with other centers, there's no doubt in my mind, just a question of time, that we will eventually win this disease. So thanks for being here, and Dr. Edwards will introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you.